Hello, universe. Welcome to the most spectacular wrestling podcast you will find on the internet. You are listening to Tag Me In, bro. I'm Joe Tantillo, and as always, I'm seated next to my terrific co-host, Taryn O'Connor. Say hi to the people, Taryn.
Hi to the people, Taryn.
If you're new to the show, the format is simple. Each week, we discuss all the magnificent moments, turbulent times, and stunning surprises that professional wrestling has to offer.
So turn your radio up and your opinions down, because we've got some hot tags coming up NXT, which means next.
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Hey everybody, it is Wednesday, which means that we are in it for another episode of Tag Me In, bro, where we're talking about SmackDown Live this week. I hope everyone's doing okay. It is like super rainy where I am, so it's the perfect kind of day to like cuddle up and like watch TV, and a perfect day to talk about wrestling, 'cause every day is a perfect day to talk about wrestling. So let's get to it. We had a great show last night. We're going to run through it. We're going to talk a little bit about the Greatest Royal Rumble. We've got a lot of exciting stuff for you guys today. And you don't want to miss out on 1 second of Tag Me In Bro content. So go on Twitter right now and follow us at Tag Me In Bro. I hope everyone's excited for the show, because it is about to go down in a big way. Today, tomorrow, and every day, we are talking wrestling. So first things first, we will cover our SmackDown speed through, where we'll give you our analysis of the most important bits of last night's show. After that, we've got our Hi to the People segment, where we want to engage with you guys to find out more about your views on who should enter number 50 at the Greatest Royal Rumble this Friday. It's gonna be fun. Then we'll move on to our main event, where we'll be talking about the question on everyone's mind this week, and then we'll close out the show with our stars of the night. This week, the question that we're going to talk about in our main event is, what does the end of single-brand pay-per-views mean for cross-brand feuds? We'll be talking about that much more in the main event, but right now we're going to get to our SmackDown speed through. Woo! Here are the only 5 things you need to know about SmackDown Live this week. Number 5, Naomi saves Jimmy Uso from being bludgeoned. Number 4, The Club reunites and Shinsuke Nakamura has new music. Number 3, Carmella and Charlotte have a contract signing for Backlash. Number 2, we got to see a lot more of the Iconics, and they actually won their first match. And number 1, Big Cass invades Miz TV. Okay, so going through from 5 to 1, the Usos are in a feud with the Bludgeon Brothers, who currently have the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. They will face the Usos in their like contractually obligated rematch on Friday at the Greatest Royal Rumble. But they've started this thing where Naomi comes out to like protect Jimmy Uso, who is her husband. They had it last week where she like ran out to basically beg the Bludgeon Brothers to stop attacking the Usos. And I was not a fan. I did not like it last week. Even though I loved like Trinity Fatah's post about it on Twitter, where she was like, being a feminist means you defend everyone. But I really thought it was like a weird thing to involve her, for that to be like a part of the match and the feud. I thought it was just really strange, and very unnecessary. Like, the Usos don't need anybody to protect them. And if they were gonna like get the crap kicked out of them, like let them get the crap kicked out of them, was kind of my thought if you're actually trying to build the Bludgeon Brothers, or at least like give them a great match. And the fact that they inserted Naomi, to me, last week kind of meant that maybe they didn't think that those two tag teams could have a great match, which was something that I was kind of nervous about. This week, Naomi had a great like promo with the Usos, where she was like, I looked into their eyes and I saw nothing, and like they're very blank, and I just don't want you to get like hurt. So then during the match, Naomi came out to her music, danced a little bit to like distract the Bludgeon Brothers, and then Jimmy Uso got the quick roll up for the pin. They won. Naomi's music played, which was like hilarious and very fun. And I actually liked how it was incorporated this week. I hope that we just get a straight tag match at the Greatest Royal Rumble, because I think that's what these two teams like deserve. And that they're both up to putting on like a great match at this event. And obviously like none of the women are competing currently or showing up to the Greatest Royal Rumble. So I don't think that we will see Naomi. But I think that it's been an interesting way to keep this feud going, considering the Bludgeon Brothers are not the strongest on the mic, and I think their whole point is that they don't talk, they just like destroy, but that doesn't make for great television. So kudos to SmackDown for trying to make it better. Moving to number 4, the club reunited, and it was not the club that we thought. So during the Superstar shakeup, I really thought we were going to get Balor on SmackDown because they had brought Gallows and Anderson to SmackDown. So naively forgetting that originally, as the club debuted on WWE television, it was with AJ Styles as the leader. So AJ Styles reunited with the club for his fight that was going to be Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev Day for that 6-man tag match in the main event, where we saw that Shinsuke Nakamura, now as a heel, has like a remixed rock band version of his song, which was fun, but I thought definitely worth mentioning. We saw the team of Rusev Day plus Shinsuke Nakamura stand tall at the end, winning via pinfall. I don't know how I felt about it. Like, I didn't love it. I get that they have to win. I guess it's simply because really, truly, I'm waiting for that one-on-one match with like a true heel Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. I'm excited that we're going to get it. And I want Rusev to be involved in his own feud. I want him to like be able to stand on his own as the superstar that he is, and for them to not just put him in this kind of lackey category. But that being said, it was really nice to see the club reunited. I thought it was a good, I thought it was a good main event. I really did. And I thought that the moment where Carl Anderson, took the Kinshasa for AJ Styles was, a beautiful moment and a beautiful storytelling moment that I think I was not expecting, and that easily could have been glazed over. And I'm glad that commentary really made sure that, we saw that it happened, because I thought it was important. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. Number 3, Carmella and Charlotte have their contract signing for Backlash, where Carmella just acts like a true classless brat throughout the whole thing. Charlotte says nothing, absolutely nothing through all the taunting, all the tormenting. She gets mocked a lot. Carmella does the Flair strut. She does the woos. She's so excited that she's the champion. Charlotte just signs the contract and then puts Carmella's head through the table, flips the table onto Carmella, and leaves. And I thought it was great. I thought it was perfect, exactly the way that contract signing should have gone down. And I'm excited to see their match at Backlash, because if Carmella keeps on this really hot, annoying heel run that she's got, this tear, I think it's going to build the same way that Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins was building, and we're going to be I just can't wait to see Charlotte killer. I think that's how we're headed. And I'm excited to see it. Moving on to the Iconics segment. So the Iconics came out, and they've been doing that bit where Peyton Royce mimics faces. So she mimicked Becky Lynch this week, and Billie Kay does that thing where she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's spot on every time." Ha! They did that thing where they went on camera and they were we're so hot. And I thought that was strange. I thought that was weird. Not because they were both beautiful young women. But why? Why did we need to do that? I just think during this women's revolution, they're already still, all the women are still very over-sexualized and oversexed. And that's something that I accept as we move forward, because it is finally becoming about the wrestling. So hopefully they can wear whatever they want, and that's chill. And Lord knows they work for those bodies, let them show them off. I don't mind, but for that to be their central thing, let it be about the fact that you're great on the mic. Let it be about the fact that you're great wrestlers. It just felt like a weird self-demeaning moment, whether or not they meant for it to be, and I didn't love it. And then they went up against Becky Lynch and Asuka, a cool tag team. Peyton Royce cheated, so they got the roll up. Peyton Royce put her legs on the ropes to hold Becky down, and they got the win. Now, I'm excited that the Iconics won their first match. I think that they are a great, essentially, women's tag team, and they both can totally stand on their own as competitors. I think they needed this win. I am obviously desperately sad that it came at the loss of Becky Lynch, who deserves better and deserves more. But all in all, I thought it was a solid segment. I love that we had a non-title women's segment. Checked all the boxes, was happy to see it. And number 1, which I really thought was truly, if SmackDown had had this and only this, it would have still been a great show, which was Big Cass invading Miz TV. Now, I say this knowing that at first, when we all knew the Miz TV segment was going to happen, we all waited for Daniel Bryant to come out And we got this terrible news, which was that instead of Daniel Bryan, we were going to get Big Cass, someone who, after getting 2 segments during the Superstar shakeup last week, I was super disappointed about. I was not excited to see him. I didn't want him. He came back out and I was like, oh, are you kidding? Like, we have to see Big Cass again when we wanted Daniel Bryan? Like, such a letdown, such a bad moment for me. But then Big Cass showed that he has been taking some acting classes. He absolutely performed on the mic better than we've ever seen him perform, I thought. He delivered this really compelling heel character story that was like, the reason I hate Daniel Bryan is because I was Daniel Bryan. And like, I was small and I was bullied, and now I am the bully. And like, he said something that was like, I am like educated and I am good looking and I am tall, so I am automatically successful and y'all are just jealous. And that's the way it is for me. And I thought that was a great heel moment and was shockingly unique for what I expected Big Cass's character to be, which was a lot of nothing and just being a big guy. So I thought they really created something kind of special, and I'm excited to see how that progresses. And then I thought The Miz, who is always a rock star on the mic, had this like incredible moment where he had his kind of like, this is a what have you done for me lately business, and what have you done except sit on your ass? Like, I'm a Grand Slam champion. Like, I'm about to be like the most decorated IC champion of all time. It was an incredible moment. It was amazing. It was so good. And I thought that it meant that this segment, which I started as being so down on because I wanted Daniel Bryan. I want Daniel Bryan versus The Miz just as bad as anybody. I thought it was going to be really, really bad. And I thought it was incredibly compelling. I thought the characters really drove it. And I am excited to see how that progresses. I don't love that now it's this weird triple threat situation in terms of like everyone's got a problem with Daniel Bryan, even though Daniel Bryan's like just there when they could just be singles matches and we could have waited to break those feuds out. Like, I do think that could be a part of a bigger problem with booking, but the characters are there, and I thought it was a really, really interesting moment. And that kind of concludes our SmackDown Live summary. So started from the bottom, now we're here. We thought the episode was great. I thought there was a lot of character development throughout from beginning to end that was really necessary. I think that it all went super well. And I think that the WWE Championship storyline is still insanely compelling. And even though we're only seeing Shinsuke for those little bits of time, he is rocking this heel character. So we're excited to see how it continues. But let us know your thoughts on social media. And speaking of social media, it is time to say hi to the people. This week on Hi to the People, we want to know your thoughts on who you think will enter number 50 at the Greatest Royal Rumble. They've announced, I believe, 18 superstars already, but that does not mean there won't be more surprises. It is the first show they'll be doing in Saudi Arabia. Anything could happen. So we want to know who you think it's going to be. We will be running a Twitter poll for the next 72 hours and discussing the results here on our show next week. So please let us know exactly what you think. You can vote on Twitter by tweeting at us and using the hashtag #HotTag. Email us at tagmeandbro@gmail.com to share your opinion and maybe have your thoughts read out on the show. Every week we read out some of your favorite responses, so don't miss your chance to be a part of that. Now we're going to talk about the results of last week's topic, where we asked you guys who your favorite new addition to the SmackDown Live roster is. And you guys overwhelmingly, with 59% of the vote, said Samoa Joe, which is super fair. Our options were Samoa Joe, Asuka, Big Cass, and Sanity. In second place was Sanity, but overwhelmingly, y'all said Samoa Joe. But interestingly, all of the comments pointed out a total failing on my part, which is super fair, which was that Andrade and Selena Vega were not an option, and every single person who commented said that if they were an option, they would have been their choice. So hugely, hugely interesting in that, because Andrade Almas and Zelina Vega are definitely two of the most compelling characters to come to the SmackDown Live roster in the shakeup. Also, Hank Farrell at Hank World Order said, if Sanity had Nikki Cross, I would have said them. But I went with Joe, and he was like, what a roster, and I cannot agree with that sentiment more. Like, what a roster SmackDown has. I think it's going to be super exciting to keep seeing how it evolves and progresses and what new storylines come out of it. So don't forget to vote on who will be 50th at the Greatest Royal Rumble that happens on Friday. And now it's time for the main event. In today's main event, we're going to talk about what the end of single brand pay-per-views means for cross-brand feuds. Joining me for the main event again is fellow WWE superfan and best person on the planet, Tommy Rose. Say hi, Tommy.
I think that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but I will take it.
Yay! Okay. So something that has come up is that with which we're gonna see a little bit of at the Greatest Royal Rumble on Friday, but just continually is that dual branded pay-per-views are the future of pay-per-views in the WWE. They gave us that terrible lip sync rap song just to make sure that we did not miss out on that fact. But what's a little confusing about it is that it does mean that there's the opportunity for titles to continually be switching onto different shows and different brands. We're seeing a little bit of that right now. The Miz is not on the same brand as the Intercontinental Championship. Samoa Joe is theoretically, potentially in the future, feuding for the Universal title if Roman Reigns wins it. But he's on SmackDown, and obviously the Universal Championship is a symbol of Raw now. So the question is what happens if those championships are continually changing brands? What do you think, Tommy?
Well, so far I think it might just be a function of some feuds being set up post-WrestleMania, pre-shakeup. So we have to, Samoa Joe has to, make good on his promise to find Roman Reigns at Backlash. And if he has the Universal Championship at Backlash, which I am hoping is the case, then that feud will be over the Universal Championship, conceivably. The Intercontinental Championship has 2 people from Raw and 2 people on SmackDown. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins on Raw, and Samoa Joe, who I seem to forget is in the Intercontinental Championship picture for some reason, and The Miz. So conceivably, 50-50 shot of it switching. The U.S. Championship is being fought over by Jeff Hardy on SmackDown and Jinder Mahal on Raw. So these are 2 cross-brand things with the mid-card titles that could conceivably continue, but there is always the chance that this is simply due to the fact that these were feuds set up before the shakeup, but after Mania. But to be honest, I think it's really interesting to have the possibility of cross-brand feuds and to see these titles bounce back and forth. Hopefully not too much, because then we'll get too used to it. But I think there is something really compelling about the Universal Championship showing up on SmackDown, conceivably. It's unfortunate that it's a bright-ass red belt, so it doesn't make any sense. But, hell yeah, why not?
Well, it's also interesting, but do you think that it could potentially lessen the value of some of these feuds? Because if you look at something like the IC Championship, The Miz and Daniel Bryan have such a history, but it is based almost entirely, it is rooted so heavily in the Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, it's the championship that Daniel Bryan gave up when he had to retire. It's the Miz's, prized possession. Even on SmackDown this week, he was talking about it, which is the only reason I would say strange is because it is literally not on the show with him.
Yeah.
But I think that they are on some level banking on the fact that Daniel Bryan versus The Miz is a draw enough and that they are good enough talkers and wrestlers to make you care about it, even though the IC Championship is not a part of that feud. But do you think it diminishes it? Because I think it really, for me at least, it really adds a level and a layer of the story that is what is at stake, that it's not just a pride feud, the pride is invested in this belt that both of them have come to represent in their own ways. But to bring that belt to SmackDown would mean potentially having to take the U.S. Championship to Raw, at which point so many other people, I say so many, I really just mean Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, but are left kind of in this nowhere land, in this void, because the thing that they are feuding over, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're feuding over it, but they kind of are. That's what we're kind of been led to believe, is just stripped away. Do you think that they'll be able to hedge that bet?
Thinking about it, I don't think that titles necessarily should be used as things to add to feuds. I think the Miz-Daniel Bryan feud, in my estimation, almost has like a symbolic thing to do with the Intercontinental Championship, but when it comes down to it, it's about that Talking Smack promo. That was like 2 years ago, which is crazy, first off. But like, the feud isn't necessarily about the title. A title can be used to make a nothing feud into a something feud, or it can make a definitely something feud into an amazing one. I do think, though, if these titles don't stay on one brand and you have a lot of cross-brand feuds, like, then why are we even having the brand split? And that would be, I think, truly a really negative thing, because when there are two separate brands, you have the ability to shine, and you have 2 world titles. You can't have 2 world titles when there's only one brand, only one roster, and there is a lot of depth here that might be lost by having co-branded pay-per-views. We can only time will tell in this next 2-week period when we have both the Greatest Royal Rumble and Backlash, because we'll see what 2 very in quick succession pay-per-view type things mean for co-branded pay-per-views. But I don't know, it's only time will tell, but I think belts need to stay on brands.
Because that was going to be my next question, was pontificating on this idea that the belt can ground a nothing into a something. And like the idea is that the belt makes the superstar, that it's not just you're a great wrestler, especially when they focus so much on like homegrown talent.
Absolutely.
Like, as much as they do have this great influx right now of like indie superstars who don't necessarily need belts to get over, to gain a fan base, you still need a belt to establish yourself. They still need the belt as a reason to be considered like contenders on the main roster. Do you think it will hurt the belts more or the superstars more if they continue to flip-flop? Because one could say that it means the belt means, like, a reasonable person could argue that it means less or more to have the belts flip-flop, because it means you're at least watching the belts. It means that you don't know where it's going to end up, so it adds that element of, like, surprise. But you could also argue that they mean nothing because they don't have the time to be in one place and to hold that feud or to hold that, like, prevalence and that importance on a brand. But you could also say, like, if certain superstars are coming up to Raw, but that mid-card belt has just disappeared, that they don't have anywhere to go. Yeah. But again, you could say, like, maybe that throws them into a title picture, blah, blah, blah. Do you think it hurts the superstar or the belt more? Or that it hurts nobody? Well,
I think you may have just attacked that question from every angle. No, whereas, like, it is true that it can have a negative effect. My thought is that it hurts both. If these belts ping-pong around people, why do we even have them? They can just be matches that we have every week on SmackDown and Raw. I think you do need to have longer form title reigns. I don't think they need to be a year plus, like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar never needs a title, in my mind. When he beat The Undertaker streak, he became very much like The Undertaker. He can do a part-time schedule, and the crowd will always pop for him. And I think, as his reign is winding down, that's been a good thing. But there is the opposite end of the spectrum, where reigns are a week long, and the belt is ping-ponging back and forth, and that does not make for any sort of compelling superstar or legitimate title. The Miz talks all the time about how he made the Intercontinental Championship really important and prestigious. And with all good heels, he makes a very good point. When it stays on him and he can defend it against superstars who just aren't good enough at the time, it gives him legitimacy and gives the title legitimacy, because so many people want to get it, and he's the one who's got it, and he is, like, untouchable. So I do think if these belts are ping-ponging all around, they don't mean anything.
And the last kind of question I guess I have as these cross-brand feuds evolve is, it feels like the only real potential with these cross-brand feuds is in the mid-card belts. Like, it feels like it is the IC and the US Championship, because, as, like, you've said, you have to, while there is this idea that they could be there, like you can't have 2 world heavyweight championships on the same show if you want one to mean something. Do you think it will negatively impact or potentially limit the potential growth of women and tag teams?
Interesting. Almost certainly. If these cross-brand feuds continue, and the women are unable to have any sort of cross-brand feud, and neither can tag teams, I think that's definitely tough. When you name your belt after your brand, you can't do that. Just on the subject of cross-brand feuding, though, there is something really less compelling about it because it's someone talks one night, you have to remember what they said the night before when you see the other person, their opponent, promo about that. And there is something much less compelling about a cross-brand feud than just on a single brand. I think in select moments in the past couple of years, it has definitely worked. I think right after the brand split happened, you had Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton, and they would invade. And that's really cool. During Survivor Series, we see invasions. Every year, we see invasions. I think with Asuka and Charlotte, it was super compelling. But I think those are select moments, select feuds where that can really work. And these are with giant stars. I don't think you can do cross-brand feuding with mid-card talent. It doesn't seem as compelling to me. So I do hope they end up sticking where they are post this fallout from the Superstar shakeup.
Yeah, that it almost feels like even though WrestleMania is the end to a season, the shakeup has prolonged that end, so we're still like tying up little bows as we go along.
Exactly. I think if the Superstar shakeup were on the same day as if the Superstar shakeup and the Raw after Mania and SmackDown after Mania happened at the same time, it would be a true like season finale WrestleMania. New season starts the first day, because we are in this nebulous stage where the brand split is just not really split. Like, there are cross-brand stuff that's still happening. I think after Backlash, hopefully it'll all be over.
Yeah, that's why I do think that's why the like giant clusterfuck that has been the Greatest Royal Rumble actually serves a really nice purpose, because it allows us to hopefully seal up a load of those boxes.
Absolutely.
Give like the people of Saudi Arabia a great pay-per-view featuring superstars from both brands fighting over compelling titles, and then we can be like, we're back to business.
Yeah.
We're back to week television.
Give them a great pay-per-view for the people of Saudi Arabia, and a great pay-per-view for those of us who are unemployed, so we can watch TV at 12 noon on a Friday.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And I think that has been a very interesting discussion and closes out our main event. We can't wait to hear any thoughts you guys might have, so don't forget, tweet at us, tag us in your stuff, let us know how you're feeling. And now we're going to finish off the show the way that we do every week with our Stars of the Night.
Do you enjoy entertainment? Have you wasted money or time not knowing what to expect?
Well, look no further.
The Chewed Gum Podcast is your answer.
It's a plastic blast.
We are the Gruesome Twosome, Seamus and Luke. We find the latest entertainment and give you our views and hopefully save you time and money. So come listen to the Gruesome Twosome chew up recent entertainment. Who's listening to you, dummies?
You just made the list.
Our third star of the night this week is The Miz. Welcome back to SmackDown, The Miz. He promptly noted that Talking Smack got canceled as soon as he got transferred to Raw. And he came back with a fabulous promo this week, both about hitting Daniel Bryan real hard where it counts, and also then talking to Big Cass. So that was The Miz was number 3. Tommy, do you want to talk about number 2?
Yeah, number 2 was Jimmy and Naomi Uso's love. I know that's not her last name, but it is to me. Their love shows me that love is real and makes me actually interested in the Bludgeon Brothers in any way, shape, or form. And if you can make the Bludgeon Brothers interesting, you are the number 2 star of the night.
Yo, Uso Penitentiary for next reality show to come out of WWE.
Oh,
Please.
that could get real dark real fast, though.
No dark, only love, only love. And our number one star of the night this week was controversial, Big Cass. We thought that after being truly the biggest disappointment of the Superstars shakeup last week, that Big Cass came out this week. He could talk on the mic. He was very compelling. He delivered a truly interesting character that has really interesting options, both as a heel and potentially down the line as a babyface. And we're really excited to see everything that he does with it.
Definitely. All he needs to do, though, is get a suit that fits. Like, did you see the arms on the suit?
Yeah, that was kind of hard.
That was really tough. But he's a great character, though. Like, just
not
a snappy dresser.
Not yet. We got time.
He'll get there.
But congrats, Big Cass. You deserve it. Now, before we say goodbye here at Tag Me In Bro, I know that Joe made a really exciting announcement yesterday about how we're going to start doing our prediction system. And he and John are their own, prediction tag team, and Tommy and I are going to be our own prediction tag team. So we are happy to unveil our name, taking a little inspiration from the Mixed Match Challenge, because we are the only intergender tag team here on Tag Me In Bro. We are going to be team less little less big, because I have probably an inch on Alexa Bliss, and Braun Strowman has potentially many inches.
And hundreds of thousands of pounds
on
me.
Tommy. So we are team less little less big. And going into the predictions, we will have our predictions on our show later that we're going to be doing with Joe and John. So keep an eye out for that. Those are predictions for the Greatest Royal Rumble. And see who wins. You guys will also have the opportunity to vote. So check out our Twitter, because we are letting you guys have a say in our predictions. They're going to be the fan predictions. Please go vote. All of those polls are currently live on our Tag Me In Bro Twitter. Now that we've covered that, that's going to do it for us here this week on Tag Me In Bro. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tag Me In Bro, and subscribe to the podcast. We're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on TuneIn, we're on about 6 other things. You can find them all on Twitter. We are here for you as many ways and as many places as we can be. As always, we want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions, your answers. So let us know what you liked, what you hated, and what you could give a fuck about. I have been Taryn O'Connor. This has been Tommy Rowe. Thank you so much for listening to Tag Me In Bro. And as always, we will see you next week for another episode of SmackDown Live. Goodbye, Universe.
Bye, Universe.